Okay, welcome to Erev Shabbos Kodesh Parshas Nitzavim. We are celebrating a delayed Yartzeit of the Chofetz Chaim. Yisrael Meir HaKoyin Radin. When we think of the Chofetz Chaim, we think of a persona that is a little bit different than the personas we tend to present in our Thursday night Pneumius HaTorah Shirim. The persona of our La La Land Pneumius HaTorah Shir is tzaddikim that are flying with the malachim, and their dveikus is so exciting. The world that they lived in, you would not say is Olam HaPshat, right? The Chofetz Chaim Idach Gisa, he's Olam HaPshat. Everything about him was Olam HaPshat. But through Olam HaPshat, right? Halacha, Mishnah Berurah, just as Shmir Saloshan, there's nothing more down to earth than what the Chofetz Chaim was out to accomplish, right? Shmir Saloshan, you have to be careful how you talk. You need to bring the Geula. You have to know Halachas Klar. You spend a lifetime writing Mishnah Berurah. But the Chofetz Chaim, with his fierce dedication to the emes and connecting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu through the Olam HaMaisa, Olam of Halacha, Olam HaPshat, he reached madrigas that he astounded everyone. He was hands down. He was the Gadol Hadar. He was the Gester Rebbes. The Chofetz Chaim was the Chofetz Chaim. They were in the spar for the Chofetz Chaim. We had fortunate to be able to see the Chofetz Chaim walk down the street. You didn't see a person walking down the street. You saw a malach walking down the street. Someone whose face was aglow and just like eyes of fire. And the emes is what the Chofetz Chaim personified was Yir Shamayim. That's what he personified. And the emes is Yir Shamayim is really the Midah Tachtoina. Yir Shamayim is Midas HaMalchus. Yir Shamayim is where every high level madrega expresses itself through the Yir Shamayim. Yir Shamayim is maftech for everything. Chazal tell us, Ein Lo Kadosh Baruch Hu Ba'olam Elo Yitala Ha'am Yir Shamayim. And we know Ma'ashem Shalakim Me'imach Kim Liyiras Hashem Lekecha Kol B'dei Shamayim Chutz Mi Yir Shamayim. What do you mean Yir Shamayim? Everything Yir Shamayim is Olam HaPshat. It's halacha, right? It's malchus. It's din, right? Dinim. It's malchus. What's with Chachma Bina, Das, Chesed, Gvura? These gewaltige madrigas. But the answer is that Havada Yir Shamayim is shalim when it reflects all the higher level midas. But if Yir Shamayim does not reflect the higher midas, then you're risking being a guitar playing Baal Chesed who loves Hashem, and who knows where that ahava expresses itself in other places when it's not reflected in the Yir Shamayim. So ultimately, we're in this world, right, in an Olam HaMaisa, an Olam of everything that we experience, everything we feel, all our emotion, all our intellect has to ultimately come to Maisa into some sort of keli that expresses it, that actually makes it real, right? Like the lashon of the Ramban, right? It's a ava ache techpatz, right? All the ava that we have to have has to be ache techpatz, ache tas, you see Chofetz. It has to come lemaisa. It has to have some sort of clay kibble, and it has to be grounded. It has to be rooted in Olam Hazeh. And this is what the Chofetz Chaim really did. The Chofetz Chaim, his whole metzius was all his Ruach HaKodesh, which was klar, like day and night. One time the Chofetz Chaim said things. It was Ruach HaKodesh, right? But it expressed itself mostly in plain Pashas Yir Shamayim, halacha, pshat, every sefer that he wrote. You go through what he was looking to do. It's lemaisa. We have to live our lives, connected. And he writes a sefer Shmir Saloshan. He writes a whole sefer Abbas Chesed about Chesed and Tzedakah and Gemilas Chasadim, lending out your money, and just like practical, Lemaisa. What are you doing to with all your emotion. Where's it all going? Is it going Larik, or is it going into this kli called Yiras Shamayim?
How is he zeicha to be so widely accepted?
Kadosh Baruch Hu is shaisel tzadikim b'chol dar v'dar. It's a chesed Hashem. It's that Kadosh Baruch Hu gives us these tzadikim. I mean, obviously they exercise the bechira, but ultimately, it's matana from Kadosh Baruch Hu. You have these tzadikim. So it's not like, whoops, no tzadikim in this dar. Every dar has its tzadikim, right? Maybe one of us, right? But Hashem, every dar has its tzadikim, and I said over from my father, Olav Shalom, and just this concept. I'm not sure he said it on his own. My understanding was he said it on his own. But the first bracha of Shmoynes is Magen Avram. It's supposed to be a bracha of Shvach. What's the Shvach of Magen Avram? Right? So he said the pshat is that who inspired Avram? HaKadosh Baruch Hu inspired Avram. Right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu, behind the scenes, he makes sure there's Avram that comes onto the world as Megal Kvod Shemayim. It's not like, okay, Baruch Hashem came along Avram. HaKadosh Baruch Hu behind the scenes makes Nishmas Avram, and he puts it into this world with Nishanis that, and however Hashem works things that he has, he earns it, right? But ultimately, it's HaKadosh Baruch Hu behind the scenes that he's going with Chasadim Tovim that he gives us an Avram. And that's the greatest shvach that about HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that he has our back, right? Whatever we need, we're gonna get, and even though it may seem to be that it just happened to be that way, right? Whatever we need, we get, and that specifically comes when it comes to manhiga adar and tzadikim. The Heilig Yemei Noyam says in the beginning of the 6th parsha. Parsha starts off Atem Nitzavim Hayam Kulcham Lefnei Hashem Lekeichem. Right, we're all standing in front of Kadosh Baruch Hu Lefnei Hashem Lekeichem. What is this inyan of Atem Nitzavim Hayam Kulcham Lefnei Hashem Lekeichem? So he says that ultimately we all want to be tzaddikim. Who doesn't want to be a tzaddik? Tzaddikim, they run the world, right? We know the Gemara tells us in Ma'ikatan. Pasuk says, Tzaddik Moshel Yiras Elikim. A tzaddik is Moshel, he rules the world with Yiras Elikim. And the Gemara tells us, Tzaddik goes by Kadosh Baruch Hu Mekayim, right? Tzaddikim, we called it. I mean you guys call the shots, right? What's going to go out on this world, right? Because tzaddik is Moshe. Who doesn't want to be a tzaddik? So people say, be a tzaddik. Tzaddik is hard, right? Tzaddikim have to fast. They have to learn 18 hours a day. They have to fast 2 days on Tisha B'Av, and they have to stay on Yom Kippur from Kol Nidre until Ne'ilah straight, 26 hours. And the whole avoid is Harei and Shir. So maybe tzidkas is not for us. Comes along, the Imam says, Nain. Tzidkas is not what you think it is. Unbelievable kaiches and unbelievable madregas. Those will come. But tzidkas is Yiras Shamayim. And that's what the pasuk is. Said Tzadik Moshel Yiras Elikim. You have Yiras Shamayim. You have your lemaisi. You display in your everyday life a cheshbon before you do anything. What does Hashem want from me? And even though you may not be always successful, but you have that midah that you're making cheshbonis. What does Hashem want from me? To be a tzaddik, and not only that, you're a tzaddik enough to be Moshel B'Kadosh Baruch Hu. If you're a Shemayim, tzaddik goes B'Kadosh Baruch Hu Mekayim. What type of tzaddik? A tzaddik that is your Shemayim. And he says that this midah is not. People think leave tzidkas to tzaddikim. Right, but this midah is universal for everyone in Klal Yisrael. V'amech kulam tzaddikim, because every yid in Klal Yisrael has a natural Yiras Shamayim. We may not even recognize that we have a natural Yiras Shamayim because we just think that it's us. It's when it's so you don't chap it as being a midah. It's just me. But I've said this in the past, and it's interesting to hear. Talmid Yais Mikulam. I had a Talmud that was, a few years back, was toying with the idea of being an atheist. And he decided he could try it on for size. So he went to the atheist store and he bought an atheist outfit, he got an atheist hat, he bought an atheist sunglasses and atheist running shoes, and he started running outside. He says, wow, I feel so free. I feel like, wow, there's nothing on my head anymore. I just totally, he says, and wow, this whole world is so random all of a sudden. He's like trying, this person was a person that was able to like sort of be malbish that mindset. And he really he said he just felt like his whole mindset just lifted off of him. And he realized that, as a frum yid, you're carrying, but at that point, you're carrying so much baggage called Hashem. Right? Hashem's always on your mind. And you don't even realize it because this guy wasn't sitting saying Tehillim all day. Right? But Hashem's presence was always on him. And he was bugging out from it because he's trying to discuss. So let's see if I put on these pair of pants and these sneakers, right? And I come here this way, these sunglasses. Maybe I could shake myself, right, from this sense that Hashem is on my shoulders, right? This burden, But then he realized the life became so pointless. The whole world was random, and that nothing so who cares about this? And he realized he was missing his whole beauty of life. The whole beauty of life is that everything has a purpose. Yes, it is a pressure, right? It is an achrayus, right? But it's the reality. And it's the most comfortable position to be in, that Hashem's with us. We have a job to do, and when we fail, we have to pick ourselves up. As opposed to a guy, he never fails, he never falls. So what do you got to do now? Nothing. So okay. So go eat some more grass or whatever it is. It's But that's what the Imrei is telling us, is that every yid has this Yerushalayim, and he says, whatever the madrega is, right? Be'efes ma yesh lechizik tzas b'midas yiras Hashem. Everyone has it, and this midah of the Yerushalayim that you have makes you a tzaddik, right? And with this midah of tzidkis, tzaddik Moshe be yiras Elokim. You could be goyis v'akadosh baruch hu makam. I just saw from the Rebbe Rebbe said he says no big deal to make nisim. Every yid can make nisim. You're a yid. Of course, you could be tzaddik guys v'akadosh baruch hu makam. What's no big shake? He says what's hard is avodas Hashem. Avodas Hashem is hard. You know what I'm saying? Because you have to take your year and build another step onto it, another step, make a cheshbon, recommit, pick yourself up, and this is the madrega of every yid. So he says, Azay, Atem Nitzavim hayom kulchem lefnei Hashem alekechem. He says, Atem is the gematria 1001. With Mem Rabasi is 600, so it's 1001, right? And the Mem is calculated 600 because Taf is 400, and the Chaf is 500, and the Mem is 600, and the Ayin, and the Fei is 700, and the Nun is 700, and the Fei is 800, and the Tzadi is 900, and then you go back to Aleph, which becomes Aleph. Aleph becomes Aleph. Okay. So Atem is a gematria 1001. 1001 is a gematria Yerushalayim. He says, with Yerushalayim, Nitzavim hayom kulchem. Every yid is Nitzavim hayom. He said Nitzavim is a lashon of melech, and he brings a pasuk in Melachim. Ein melech be'edoim, nitziv melech. Right? Nitziv is a lashon of being a melech. He says, Atem Nitzavim, with Yerushalayim, you're all melech, you're all moshel in a Kadosh Baruch kulchem, right? Lefnei Hashem lekechem. And no matter who you are, you could be the biggest tzaddik, Sheichem, Sheftechem, Ziknechem, Shoytechem, Kol Yish Yisrael, right? Even the children, Tapchem, the Sheichem, right? Even the wood choppers and the water carriers, these people are moshel b'yiras Elikim. They're tzaddik guys v'Kadosh Baruch Hu Mekayim. The emphasis is that we'll talk about Atem Nitzavim Hayom. What's Hayom, the big day? Atem Nitzavim Hayom is Rosh Hashanah, right? This is when we stand in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Yom Hadin, and to recognize that we're cut out to stand in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yom Hadin. You don't have to run from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? When we run from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, how does the song go? Mimcha elecha evrach, right? From when I run from you, I run to you, right? Because ultimately we know we're connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Right? So on the one hand, we recognize we have to run because we could be better, but midachis we realize there's no place to run, only to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And Atem Nitzavim Hayom is on Rosh Hashanah. We're standing in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and there's a Yom Adin going on. But Yom Adin is good because in HaKadosh Baruch Hu's sights, and He gives the opportunity to connect Him, and we can have the confidence knowing, like the Menaim is saying us, that we're meant to be with HaKadosh Baruch Hu because we have this connection. Look, our Yir Shemayim is so ingrained. Us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we can't even shake. Be'emes, we can't shake this connection, and what we know in our subconsciousness and in our hopefully in our consciousness, and every ma'aseh that we do, this reflects what we believe about our Yir Shemayim. He brings down shkach to Aryeh for pulling us all together. Aryeh is Aryeh Shag Mila Yira. Right, the lion roars. Who's not afraid when the lion roars? And the Sfarim say Aryeh is Rashi Tevis, El Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. He says that.
Isn't it that he is Hashanah?
He says Yom Kippur, but you could say El Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur and Hashanah, but you could say he says Yom Kippur. So, he just says, just maybe introduce something a little bit, little peniistic.
Let's open the other bottle.
No, I'm not sure how well this is going to go over, but Rosh Hashanah is Yom Adin. Yom Adin is how much Yir Shemayim you have. That's what din and Yir Shemayim are the same thing. You want to know what din is? The midah of Yir Shemayim and din, they're the same. They're the same midah samachos, right? And so I'm saying words, but we know Rosh Hashanah it's a Yom Adin, and we know Rosh Hashanah we're Mamlech HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? We don't sit and do tshuva. We're Mamlech HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Why? Because that's what midas adin is. Din and malchus are the same thing. So when there's din means that you relate to HaKadosh Baruch Hu being melech. A melech is done. A melech does din. That's what a melech does. The melech is the ultimate judge of every nation. Right, so when there's a Yom Adin, we relate to that by being Mamlech HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because that's the midah HaKadosh Baruch Hu is expressing, right? So we relate to it as being Mamlech HaKadosh Baruch Hu. However, he doesn't say exactly this Nakuda, but this is the Chaim with the Pshat is. Rosh Hashanah is called Yom HaZikaron. Yom HaZikaron is really a tool. It's a remes to us on how we have to go l'malam in hadin, right? It's a Yom Adin. We're Mamlech HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but ultimately we go above din. That's our avodah. Klal Yisrael are not reactive. We're very proactive. Yom Adin, what do? With being Mamlech HaKadosh Baruch Hu, being Mamlech HaKadosh Baruch Hu is exercising our Yir Shemayim, because Malchus and Yir Shemayim is the same thing. Exercising your Yir Shemayim, you're the Moshel now, right? Being Moshel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Kaviyachol is a Madrega L'Mala, right? Kila, through Yir Shemayim, you can now be Moshel, but being Moshel is connecting to a higher Madrega, the highest Madrega, which is known as Chachma Bina. Zachar is Bigamatria 233, which is Bigamatria Ayin Beis 230. Zachar. Parshas Zachar, not the male. Not the male. The remembrance. Zachar, like Zikaron. You have Zikaron. To remember things. And this is actually brought down as your school. If you want to remember all you're learning, to be mechaber in these shemas that you match Zachar, which is the Shema in Beis, right? Which is Yud Kei Vav Kei written out with Yuds, match 72, which is Keneged the sphere of Chachma. Yud
is filled in with the
Yud. Yeah, he says Yud, a Vav, and a Dal, and a K Yud, a Vav, and a Yud, and a Vav, and a K, and a Yud. So match 72, and Bina is Eke, and when you write out Eke with Yuds also, it's Bigamatria. So Aleph is spelled Aleph Lamed face. You have to 111 right away, and then you do K Yud, Yud Vav, and the Dalet, and a K Yud. That equals 161. 161 and 72 is Zachar, and this is so if you mechaber these shemis, it's a segula for Zikaron. Now there's a yichud for Zikaron, which is based on these shemis, right? And it has to do, Chachma and Bina are the first two ices of Shem Hashem, Yud Kei. Okay, so Chachma and Bina are both called Yud Kei, and there's a whole cheshbon on how Yud Kei gets you to a yichud, which ends up being equaling 1,000. Okay, now again, Yerushalayim is 1,001, right? The yichud of Zikaron is to get the Shem Yud Kei,
Get to 1,000.
to get to 1,000. Okay, and the way it works is you do a Yud Kei for Chachma, you do a Yud Kei for Bina. Each one equals Kasef, which is 500, right? And together it equals 1,000. And this is the yichud of Zechira. How do you get Yud Kei to 1,000? Okay, so you have Hazeh. You have Yud Kei. You spelled out Yud, a Vav and a Dal, and a K and a Yud. You multiply them. It's called Hakah. You multiply them. 20 times 15 is 300. Right? That's that one. Then you have Yud Kei spelled Yud. Yud is Yud Vav and Dal. And then next Hey is spelled KK, which is 20 times 10. Gets it to 200. Okay? That's Chachma. And you do that on the left side, to Bina, right? And you do that when you mechaben those two shemos, right? So it ends up being 20 times 15 and 20 times 10, and in Bina it's the same thing, but you do 20 times 10 and then 20 Yud K and Yud K Yud. It ends up being the same 500, and those two kavanas of Shem Yud Kei being brought out to be 1,000 is the called Yichud Zechira, which is a Gematria Aleph, and this gets you to Zikaron, Zikaron, right? But where does it get? But where's it get you to? Right? The one is always HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That brings it all together, like the Baal Shem Tov says, it's Ein Daina Misha Shad Pirka Me'av Pamim Misha Shad Pirka Me'av Achas with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Right? That's the Yitayishab. So it comes out as that Yerushalayim, which is 1,001, starts a process. It takes you all the way up to Chacham Bina, which is the highest madrigas of comprehension of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which has its own 1,000 that corresponds, which reconnects back to Yerushalayim. And he says, and he says Rosh Hashanah, he says, we blow on Rosh Hashanah Shram Teruah, together with Zohar, right, equals also 1,000, also Shram Teruah. And he says, Rosh Hashanah we blow 1,000, we blow 1,000, we'll call it tekiyas, but not really tekiyas, 1,000 notes, because we blow 100, we blow 100 kailas, right, and 100 kailas, right? It is, he says, this tough kuf trumitin. We blow 100 kailas. Each in 100 kailas, this tough kuf trumitin beats. I'm not sure where he gets the beats. And you do that twice, right?
Well, the true you have is each.
It's 9. Yeah, it's 9. It's 9. Yeah. So I'm not sure.
Is that a minimum or is it?
No, 9. Yeah, 9's a minimum. So I'm not sure how he's getting the tough kuf. Have to do with the cheshbon, but he says Me'ah calls his tough kuf is 500 meter, and you do that 2 days is 1,000, right? And he says, excuse me, 100 calls tough kuf. Excuse me, yeah, no, it's pasha, right? Each note is 9 trumitin, so you have 100 kailas, it's 900 trumitin, right? 900 plus the original 100, right? It's 100, so you add that 100. Yeah, the original 100 plus the 900 notes, it ends up being 1,000. So in your truas, you have 1,000 kailas, which is connected the Shem Azchira, Yom Zikaron. And he says, this is a pshat. The Torah says, Yoib Trua Yiyeh Lachem. Yiyeh is the Yud Kei that we spoke about in the Shem Azchira. And this is Yom Zikaron, that Kadosh Baruch gives us a mitzvah of shofar, that we stand the Kadosh Baruch in front of Kadosh Baruch Yerushalayim. We start the process by being Mamlech HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Mamlech HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us the mitzvah shofar, which takes us up to the highest madrega of Mimai shall be Tzadik Moshe shall be, which is the highest madregas of that we reach, which is Lamala from Din which is the matana of Shofar, and the matana of us having a shana of just chesed, because the midas of Chachma Bina are midas of kula chesed, v'shtaka v'zaycha to Yir Ava, Simcha Chesed Hashem, and Yir Shemaim that reflects it all, and we should v'zaycha to Shana Taiva U'Mesuka.